and welcome back. Today, we embark on a profound and complex journey through history. We will be exploring the historical background of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is a topic that evokes deep emotions and strong opinions. Our purpose here is not to take sides, but to understand. To understand the historical narrative, the key events, and most importantly for us, to learn the English language used to discuss complex geopolitical issues. We will navigate this history with respect, focusing on facts and the language needed to comprehend them. So let's begin our journey at the very foundation. Part 1. The land and the peoples. We must start by understanding the land itself. This region, known historically as Palestine, the Holy Land, or the Levant, is a narrow strip on the eastern Mediterranean coast. For centuries, it was inhabited primarily by Arab Muslims and Christians, with a smaller population of Arab Jews. All shared a deep historical connection to this land. Then, in the late 19th century, a new political movement emerged in Europe, Zionism. In simple terms, Zionism was the aspiration of the Jewish people to establish a national homeland in their ancient historical land, as a response to widespread persecution in Europe. This aspiration would soon collide with the nationalist aspirations of the Arab population already living there. The key word here is collide. It's a powerful verb that describes two forces meeting, often with conflict. This period under the rule of the Ottoman Empire was relatively stable, but the seeds of future conflict were being sown. Jewish immigrants began arriving, purchasing land and establishing communities. The local Arab population viewed this with increasing apprehension. They saw it as a threat to their own political rights and demographic majority. This mutual apprehension is a crucial concept to grasp. Part 2. The British Mandate and the UN, 1917 to 1947. Now we enter one of the most critical phases. After World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapsed. The League of Nations gave Britain a mandate to administer Palestine. The word mandate here is key. It means a formal authorization to govern. During this time, Britain made several conflicting promises. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 expressed British support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, with the caveat that nothing should prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities. The words caveat and prejudice are essential. A caveat is a warning or limitation. To prejudice, something here means to harm it. Imagine the situation from both perspectives. For Jewish immigrants fleeing persecution, this was a historic validation. For the Arab Palestinians, it was a betrayal. They had been promised independence for supporting the Allies in the war, and now their land was being promised to another people. This period was marked by rising tensions, communal violence, and British attempts to broker compromises that satisfied no one. By 1947, exhausted and unable to resolve the conflict, Britain handed the problem over to the United Nations. The UN proposed a partition plan to divide the land into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international control. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan. The Arab leadership and the Palestinian Arabs rejected it outright. They saw it as fundamentally unfair, as the Jewish population, who owned about 7% of the land, was allocated 55% of the territory under the plan. Part 3. The 1948 War and its consequences. The rejection of the partition plan led immediately to a civil war, which then escalated into a full-scale international war in 1948 after Israel declared its independence. For Israelis, this is the War of Independence, a fight for survival and sovereignty. For Palestinians, it is al-Nakba, which means the catastrophe in Arabic. This is a perfect example of how narrative and language shape understanding. The same event has two different names, reflecting two profoundly different experiences. The outcome of the war was a decisive Israeli victory. The State of Israel was established on the land allotted to it by the UN, plus a significant portion of the land allotted to the Arab state. Jordan took control of the West Bank and Egypt took control of the Gaza Strip. The most enduring and painful consequence of the war was the Palestinian refugee crisis. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes within what became Israel. Their right to return to their homes remains one of the core intractable issues of the conflict to this day. The words enduring and intractable are important. Enduring means long-lasting. Intractable means extremely difficult or impossible to solve. Part 4. The 1967 War and the Occupation. In 1967, the Six-Day War was another pivotal moment. Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. The war was stunningly swift. In 6 days, Israel captured the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This war fundamentally altered the map and the dynamics of the conflict. Israel was now a regional superpower, but it also became an occupying power over a large Palestinian population in the West Bank and Gaza. The term occupation is a legal and political term with specific implications. It refers to a military power exerting control over a territory it does not own. The occupation brought with it new realities: Israeli settlements built in the occupied territories, military checkpoints, and the daily friction of one population ruling over another. For Israelis, control of these territories was a matter of security. For Palestinians, it was the consolidation of their loss and the loss of any hope for a viable state. Part 5. The search for peace and ongoing conflict. Decades of conflict have been punctuated by attempts at peace. There were wars like in 1973 and uprisings or intifadas by the Palestinians. There were also historic moments like the Oslo Accords in the 1990s, which created the Palestinian Authority and raised hopes for a two-state solution. However, the core issues, borders, the status of Jerusalem, the security of Israel, the fate of Palestinian refugees, and the Israeli settlements have proven to be a stumbling block time and again. The two-state solution, an independent state of Palestine alongside the state of Israel, remains the dominant framework for peace, but it seems increasingly elusive. Today, the situation remains a deadlock. Gaza is under a blockade, governed by Hamas. The West Bank is a patchwork of Palestinian-controlled areas and Israeli settlements and military zones. The status quo is unstable, and the human cost on both sides is immense. Conclusion. This has been a brief overview of a century of history. It is a story of two peoples, with deep, legitimate, and competing claims to the same small piece of land. It is a story of trauma, fear, and a desperate desire for security and self-determination on both sides. As students of English and of history, our task is not to find easy answers where there are none. Our task is to understand the complexity, to learn the language of diplomacy and conflict, and to approach this topic with empathy for the human suffering involved. The words we learned today, aspiration, collide, mandate, intractable, occupation, elusive, are not just vocabulary. They are the tools we use to grasp one of the world's most difficult and enduring problems. Your mission is this: research one of the key figures from this history, like David Ben-Gurion, Golda Meir, Yasser Arafat, or Anwar Sadat. Write a few sentences in the comments about their role, using at least 2 of the advanced words from this video. Let's continue this learning journey together with respect and a commitment to understanding. Thank you for watching.